Hello. Welcome. Today, it is the beginning of MBTI week. I wanted to talk about a few different things, and I wanted to start off with extroverted sensing. I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of extroverted sensing, and then I was going to go into the types. So here we go. Extroverted sensing. When we start talking about extroverted sensing, this is a function that we all have. And it essentially might be one of the most simplest functions to understand because it involves the things you hear, things that you see, things that you taste, things that you touch. You see what I'm saying? It's all about the five senses. Now, people who are dominant extroverted sensors, they tend to be the kinds of people who like to stimulate themselves and keep themselves entertained and engaged in life through their sensory environment. So let's look at the environment around us right now. If I sit here, if I touch this, if I look at this, okay? As extroverted sensor, you have a much greater connection with the external sensory world. You're able to connect at this, see the colors on a level that a lot of us, such as intuitives, we don't see things at that same level in terms of the sensory abilities. Extroverted sensors tend to be extremely hands-on. They tend to be very good and very keen when it comes to paying attention to their environment. That's a very key thing when it comes to extroverted sensors. Extroverted sensors tend to be the types to like to do things, physical activities, like to test the limits of life on a sensory level. You know, if there's something that you said is a color or a thing that you say not to do, an extroverted sensor is gonna wanna see for themselves. They wanna see it with their own five senses to see if they should do it or not do it. So you're dealing with a type of function that takes everything in the outer world in for what it is. What makes extroverted sensing very different than the other functions is that extroverted sensing, it doesn't put too much on top of what is. Intuitives, for example, are the types to say, oh, this tree, what if this tree does this? What if this tree does that? Extroverted sensors are a type who are looking at the tree for what it is. It's just a tree. They might want to touch it. They might want to become one with the tree through their senses. But anything outside of that is kind of beyond them because it's not here and now. You see, it's much more left up to interpretation. Our extroverted sensing function is designed to cut out the interpretations. Extroverted sensing is designed for you to look at something for what it is, engage with it as it is, and have your experience or remembrance of that situation for what it was. And that's very important because when we start talking about designing things, creating things, what allows these things to be done at such precision and what allows these things to be so reliable is that we're using our extroverted sensing functions that are making sure to build and construct these things as they should be built and constructed. As an extroverted sensor, you have an ability to look at things as they are and create things as they need to be. You see what I mean? This cuts out a lot of the room for you going into your thoughts, your ideas, your intuition about how things may be. Those things are a little bit less important when we're talking about taking care of things, especially if we have to take care of things in a quick amount of time. Extroverted sensors are very good at responding to trouble or helping people when it comes to quick situations. They respond so fast because they're so engaged with the environment around them. They're so connected with the environment around them. So those are kind of the general ideas when we start talking about extroverted sensing. Extroverted sensing is about the five senses. It's about being connected with the outside world and engaged. And it's about having a hands-on experience with the outside world, trying things, taking risks, doing things, meeting people, going out there. It's very extroverted in the sense of it goes out into the world to learn and to gain input and more information. Over time, the more information that the extroverted sensing is able to accumulate, it will have a very strong foundation and a very strong toolkit of ways to go about things in life because unlike a lot of other people who have been sitting on the benches, they've been actually out there in the world, engaging with the world, experiencing. Extroverted sensing is all about experiencing on a physical sensory level. so that it can accumulate enough experiences so that it can provide wisdom to the people around it. Because what you'll begin to realize is extroverted sensors actually have a very intelligent way of, and a lot of experience when it comes to interpreting the world and sharing their experiences of what they've been through in the world. Most extroverted sensors, you'll be surprised, or you might not be surprised, they have a lot of experiences, and because of that, we're able to learn so much from extroverted sensors. Extroverted sensors are also very just explorative. It's a very carnal function. It's a very it's almost like, I think of it as a primal function. It's like, as human beings from the beginning of time, before we develop these things like intuition and these things, all these other functions, I believe extroverted sensing was the first initial function that allowed us to take everything in as it was, and from there, from that premise of viewing the world as it was, we were able to develop other functions and develop other ways of interpreting life. So that being said, that's extroverted sensing in a nutshell. It's all about person, places, and things, all about experiences. It's all about the physical sensory world that's outside of us, not what's all up in your head. Extroverted sensing is about what's out here. And it's the function of extroverted sensing that will allow you to gain a lot of hands-on experience, a lot of power in the world because you've gone out there and tested yourself, and a lot of willpower, because extroverted sensing is all about willpower. It's all about pushing the limits. It's all about going out into the world. That's extroverted sensing in a nutshell, and I hope you learned a lot. Get ready, we got more coming for MBTI week. Talk to you soon.